So for drugs, how you act with intoxication and how you act with withdrawal, the best way to think about it is that withdrawal, it's always the opposite of whatever the drug makes you do. Think of something like opioids, for example. Very low. When you go through withdrawal, everything's activated. You start sweating, you start pooping all the time, all this stuff. We'll talk about each one in detail as we go along, but just good rule of thumb is you always think about the opposite. Okay, alcohol. Alcohol intoxication, they love AST over ALT is greater than 2 to 1. And they'll make sure that it's greater than 2 to 1. If it's 1.5 to 1, they're trying to trick you. Always 2 to 1. And of course, gamma-glutamyl transferase is something that they've recently started doing a lot of on tests. Barbiturates, just remember, respiratory depression. Okay. Benzodiazepines, minor respiratory depressions, much greater safety margin. For this reason, you don't use barbiturates as much as you once did. Opioids, pinpoint pupils, respiratory depression, huge, huge, huge. They love pinpoint pupils. And then inhalants, you always see it with teens. All right, I don't know what they're inhaling, paint or something. And so on test questions, they'll say something like, he has, or she, has like a different color right underneath like their nostrils. Everything seems like it's tinged a certain color. That's because they're inhaling paint. Okay, so now let's go through the withdrawals of all of these. Alcohol, you have to know your timeline. You have to know at around 72 hours delirium tremens. Okay. You have to know your seizures. Tremors, of course, and your hallucinations, progressing that way. So, benzodiazepines and barbiturates, pretty similar in terms of the withdrawal. They don't test those withdrawals as much as they test the effects. For opioids, though, huge, huge, huge. Yawning. I don't know why. They love yawning. They love piloerection. And they love these diarrhea, flu-like symptoms, rhinorrhea, lacrimation, stomach cramps. If you see piloerection, if you see yawning, you should always think opioid withdrawal. And of course, just like how you think the opposite for the withdrawal compared to the original effect, just like you have pinpoint pupils, you have super dilated pupils. All right. Amphetamines. Hyper alert, super paranoid, teeth are all messed up. I'm sure you've seen images of people who've taken meth and how it messes up their skin, how it messes up their teeth. In fact, there's something called meth teeth. You always see on test questions skin excoriations and bad teeth with the methamphetamine usage. Always, always, always. Caffeine, you know it well. Headaches, problems concentrating, flu-like symptoms. Okay, so this was a pretty quick page. What is there to actually remember from this? You have to know what happens when in the timeline of alcohol withdrawal. You have to know that they love testing you on 2 to 1 values, ratios of AST to ALT. You absolutely have to know that. You need to know piloerection, yawning, when it comes to opioid withdrawal. Always think of teens and inhalants, although it can be anything. And with amphetamines, skin excoriations, and bad teeth. Okay, just keep that in mind when you're studying.